Kelly Maroney beating the shit out of things.
Yeah.
Shooting the shit out of things.
Shooting the shit. That's like what we do here on 0 Point Reviews. This time we're covering Chopping Mall. Kevin, is this your first time checking this one out, or have you seen this one before?
Never seen this before. And,
What?
And I know it's a cult classic.
Yes, it is.
I very vividly remember seeing the cover art on VHSs when I was a kid.
But, dope.
Yeah, never saw this before.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because the cover art is basically the movie poster where it basically does not describe jack shit of what this movie is about. Because it shows like an actual full-on cybernetic hand. Yep, bingo. And that has really nothing to do with the movie at all. It's one of the most misleading posters you will have ever seen. And it's also not the original title of the movie either. So what does that tell you?
That was what? Killbots?
Killbots. They actually have like Fright Rags or Terror Threads or somebody put out shirts with the original Killbot title on it and some newer artwork. I don't have those. I probably should have gone for one of them. That's too bad. I might take a look after we're done recording and see if they still got those. But yep, that's the original working title. They made it Chopping Mall, which it has a nice ring to it, and it is basically robots killing in a mall. Just it's too bad they tried to rip off House and House 2 with holding the shopping bag.
Oh, yeah. The house or the hand looking thing was cool. I mean,
it's dope.
Conceptually,
I like it.
I wanted to see that movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I had no idea what this movie was. And I just found out the plot of this maybe within the last year and a half. So really? It was kind of like, okay, this is not remotely what I thought it was. I thought it was people getting like killed or like stalked and killed in the mall by psychopaths or something.
Oh, something like Dawn of the Dead or something like that?
Something like that, or a slasher movie.
Yeah, not Johnny Five from basically Short Circuit on crack.
No. If these things would have had Tim Blaney's voice, it would have been fucking just... That
would have been pretty funny. Well, their design just reminds me so much of Short Circuit, like mixed with like, say, like RoboCop and just any number of things. And it's just a complete like psychotic brainchild on acid of all of these more famous robot movies, but this has its charm to it, and I can't get enough of it. I love watching this. I bust it out once a year, watch it all the time. Great cast, writing's okay. It's basically you sit back, you kick back, you enjoy the movie with a bucket of popcorn, nice refreshing beverage, just chill. It's only like 76 minutes of a runtime. Like, it totally flies right on by. I hate to even say it, but you could have cut about 10 minutes out and made this a nice and tight 66 minutes. Just saying.
There is a bit of padding.
Especially the last, like, several minutes of the movie. And I know you want to center it around the final girl of Kelly and, like, Ferdy. Stupid freaking name that is. But basically, it's the big climactic chase with Kelly's character, Allison, and she's the final girl. She survives a one-story fall, probably a broken leg, ankle, makes it into a hardware store, and blows the shit out of the last one.
That was dope, though. And she did it with a big-ass smile. Like, she was digging it. But then it ends empty, like this. And
that's Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, but it's like I see this and I think to myself, come on, wrap it up. The mall's going to open soon. Come on, everyone. Cut.
Yep. Daylight. Yo.
Daylight.
Well, when you look at it with the movie, they basically say, we have until morning when the mall opens back up, like when they would start to let in employees. So it's probably spot on with what they had to work with on the shooting schedule for that mall. Like, we got 10 minutes. You guys start hugging. Pan back. No, I said pan back. Wide shot. All right. Somebody's coming through the doors. Shoot. 5, 4. And cut. We're out. Wrap it up. Let's go.
Should we do another one for insurance?
Who needs insurance? Nobody got hurt here. Keep moving. We'll just tell them that they slipped at the pizzeria around the corner, the one with all the horror movie posters. Yeah. Because everything breaks in there and the worst people eat in there, so screw it.
The worst people eat in there.
Probably yeah.
Oh, God. You know, I watched for the sponsors and shit like that throughout this entire thing. Because if you catch them, they do throw into a little bit of Easter eggs here and there. And the one I looked for the hardest was Orange Julius. And it wasn't there. And I got so sad. It's like,
no,
why,
OJ for you.
Why have a mall movie with no Orange Julius in it? It's a missed opportunity.
Or Cinnabon.
Yeah, right?
Or See's Candy if you're from California.
See's Candy, hot dog on a stick.
Boom. Yep.
They're international at this point, I think.
Yeah, if anybody's got some comments about things that were missing from this movie that were in malls from when you were growing up in this era, hey, throw it in below. I know there's malls still out there, but if there's some nostalgia stores that you think they might have missed in this movie or that we might have missed, put that in the comment below. I want to hear about it.
This movie had some weird shit that I never remember seeing in malls, like kids skateboarding through it and slapping girls in bikinis that are walking through.
I'm older than you, and I actually do remember that.
Really? I remember punkers and shit hanging out in the mall, but not that. No.
Oh, well, Milwaukee Mall.
I grew up near Salinas, California, which is like the armpit of the earth. So.
Oh, so that's right across the street from Ohio. Gotcha.
Yeah, kind of. Like
the toilet bowl of the United States. And I just lost just a subscriber, probably.
Just one. That's okay. We'll miss you. Come back later.
Yep. When you float back up, because you're a floater. I'm kidding.
I'm trying to think if we actually have anybody in Ohio. It's like, maybe.
We might. Or if we did, we no longer do now.
True. Anyway. Going back to the robots themselves, that's what I was most surprised about in this flick. I didn't know that's what this was about. And it didn't come off as bad to me. For as low of a score as this movie gets in IMDb, which is 5.6, which is just a hair lower than the movie Overboard, to which I say, F you, America. The robots are like, they're an amalgamation of things. Like you mentioned Johnny Five, and I put down Johnny Five as well, merged with TikTok and Kit because of the Red Cylon type thing. And they were cool, but they weren't menacing at all. And I don't know what they were wanting to make. And I get why they put that cybernetic hand on the poster, because those robots, other than this picture here or behind me, probably wouldn't sell a whole lot of tickets.
Oh, it was cheesy 80s. You never know.
It was. And see, here's the thing. For as much as I can complain about the cheese and the camp in this flick and how much padding there is, how cheap it is, it's not a bad movie. There are good actors in this doing fun things, and there are fun explosions with fun robots. There's fun kills. It's just dope. It is a dope flick. It is a cult film for a reason.
Yeah, there's literally something in this movie for just about everybody. Now, if you're looking for a romantic comedy, maybe not so much. You're looking for serious drama? Absolutely not. You're looking for boobs, gore, explosions, just complete zaniness and antics in a mall, like a big mall. Like this mall is not small. Like this is going to be your jam. I mean, we're going to be following this on up next week with Night of the Comet. And that's another one that's got a nice giant mall scene, but it's nothing like this where the whole movie is literally centered around getting locked in a mall with 3 psychotic rampaging robots. And they're not really psychotic rampaging. They're actually enforcing the law. That's why I came up with the RoboCop, cross-reference on that, because they basically are, you are in violation of the law. Oh, show me your badge. Nope. Don't care. Bye.
They don't care.
And then they start shooting freaking laser beams out of their head. And I'm like, man, somebody had the forethought for Austin Powers in the future. Let's put laser beams on their heads.
Right? Well, I mean, look at this. How close does he have to get his ID badge to the thing's face before it's like, oh, hey, I recognize you?
Right. And well, the other employees during the movie, they're like way back on the back wall, and they're throwing their ID up like, yo,
Oh, yes.
employee. And they got this like attitude like, you guys are a bunch of jokes anyway, and boy, you guys are quiet. You can't come up without a noise. And it's like, you didn't hear that fucking motor like 5 feet away? Like, really, bro? But they show that badge, and it's like, what do you expect them to think? Maybe that's a fake badge, or maybe they just don't care.
Right? Like, do you not even scan the barcode? Or are you not looking? They did ask. I remember once or twice they asked Dick Miller for one.
Yeah.
And I think Mike before they got him.
They got Mike, all right.
I think so. That was by the was that by the cigarette stand?
Yep.
Yeah. No, but it's funny because every time these things would go in kill mode, they'd like put their arms out and extend them up. So it was almost like robot flexing, like, come at me, bro, come at me.
I'm gonna get you. It's like you're chasing after your kid or something,
Yes. Or you're blocking a small hallway, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Where are you gonna go? It's like playing with my dog out there. She's got a bone in her mouth running around. I'm like, where are you going?
The only thing that was lacking with these robots, the killbots, is personality. Like, there was no enjoyment to what they did. And I guess there didn't have to be, but
nah.
Sometimes a good rib at a victim it makes a movie.
Well, I think it would have been nice if they all had like unique like set of limbs or weaponry or something. They also have laser beams. One had a blue laser beam, the other had a red one. I mean, that's not really unique enough for like me. And that's if you're going to start getting nitpicky about like what they could have done to make it a little more spiced up. I mean, clearly this is on a budget, and they were, for a lack of time, they had to get this movie completed, and this is what we got. But if they had had an opportunity, I would like to have seen like one have like a chainsaw for an arm, or actually have something of like handcuffs or netting to be able to get somebody, or a harpoon, just any sort of number of things. I mean, they were in a hardware store. The robots could have gone in and grabbed a weapon and started shooting up the place too if they really had enough fingers for it.
Oh yeah, one gremlin in the movie Gremlins already had 4 or 5 things turned into weapons. Baseball bat, the blade saws. But you talk about their lasers and stuff. That was the last thing I think it showed them do, and it was very random because they didn't explain that they had lasers before.
No.
But the sound effects that they got for the lasers were the sound effects from War of the Worlds. Pew, pew, pew. I was like, well, hey, far out. And then they start chasing her, doing the whole pew pew thing, and they're shooting her in the ass, like trying to make her run.
They got the right cheek. Oh, trick shot. Gonna bounce one off the left cheek. Get him to match. Little dimples too.
I don't know, but when they started doing that, I was kind of like, okay, we're gonna have fun with this. And they did. They started having some real fun. Like,
then they blew her head right the fuck off.
Yeah, first she stops and screams like, "Oh God, what's it gonna do?" And then, pow, her head just explodes.
Well, and it's right out front of the store that everybody was hanging out partying, and then they're all just staring like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like they really have like no concept of what's going on outside. Then they see the robot pull up, and they're like, "Wait, what the fuck is going on with these things? I thought they were supposed to protect us."
Yeah, and I thought like she'd been safe if she got back into the store, but no, they proved rather quickly they get into the store, or they have no lack of jurisdiction within the mall.
Yeah, they were able to pretty much rotate amongst the floors in the different stores, no problem. If there was window, they could drive right through it, or if they had other special access of some sort, I don't know. But I want to say it's pretty dope. A mall like this had some real substantial security doors to close out exits, military grade.
Yes, they did.
It's like something out of like the Dread movie where like these giant like 6-inch thick steel doors just slam shut. It's like, you guys going to outer space or what are we doing here?
Well, you got to remember in the 80s, like malls, I think they said it in Night of the Comet, were meccas to consumerism.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like they thought malls were going to be the end all place of merchant consumerism, money, all sorts of shit, fun.
Now it's Amazon. So
yeah,
stay tuned for Chopping Mall 2 online. Don't save it in your Amazon cart because it's going to get delivered.
It's going to get delivered to the neighbor.
Within 1 to 2 days, but it's really 3.
Yeah, man, I'm getting tired of that shit. Well, no, because I mean, Night of the Comet was that way. Although it did show up. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be a 0 Point for next week.
But it's starting this week. So when we get to next week and you're trying to figure out what we're doing the following week, you're going to have to come back to this week to figure out what we're doing that week.
I got it.
And that's the plot of Chopping Mall. You're welcome.
That's the plot of Chopping Mall.
I'm kidding.
Well, okay, so the plot of Chopping Mall, which is very, very thin and I guess open to interpretation, is to have a party.
A hookup party.
Yeah, a hookup party with like what, 3 couples? Kind of awkward. Kind of weird.
About 4 total.
Was it 4?
4 total. Because Ferdy and Allison were getting introduced for the first time. Then there was 2 other couples that were basically dating other people in the mall. And then like the friends that showed up that didn't work in the mall.
Yeah, and that was almost a stop the movie sort of deal for me. Well, let's see, where is it? They all get really handsy, which is fine, you know. That's what you do in that kind of situation. Where is it?
Well, you got Barbara Crampton, you got Kelly Maroney, you got a whole bunch of fine-looking ladies in this movie.
That's a married couple. Like, getting it on there in the middle of a furniture store.
And he's actually wearing a wedding ring if you look in that bottom right corner.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, they were supposed to be a married couple.
Oh, yeah.
I'm married. You're married.
Shh.
It's not that sex life ends once you're married, and I guess they'd been married for a little while, so maybe it was still going strong for them. But I've never wanted to get down with my wife with like 8 other people sitting there doing the same shit in the middle of the mall.
When they pan the store, it's like, okay, somebody's basically about 8 feet that way. They're about 6 feet that way, and maybe 13 feet at the furthest in a bed because it's a furniture store, and they're all hooking up in the bedroom area. Except for like Allison and Ferdy, they're by the entertainment center. And in the background, like not even 8 feet back, they're hooking up on the couch. I think that's the Barbara Crampton one on the couch behind them. I think so.
Oh, yes. She was doing a slow strip tease. And the guy behind her was like waiting for her. And it's like, I was waiting, like, get to the next part, the next boob. And she did eventually, but yeah, like they were getting naked in one section, 13 feet at best. The other couple were sitting there having a conversation before they started having sex. And then meanwhile, again, Ferdy and Allison are, keep it down, we're trying to watch the movie.
Yep. And Mike's like, you know, we just had a couple rounds. I'm going to go get my girl some cigarettes and I'll be right back. Because there's going to be around 3, 4, and 5. Yeah.
And the cigarettes.
High testosterone on that guy.
Where is it? I put Virginia Lights. I messed up. She says I only smoke Virgin Lights, and it's like, oh, is that like when you date a whore named Chastity? Like, I don't know.
Pimping ain't easy.
It's not. It's not. Hooking is all right, but pimping,
that's a whole different ballgame, yo.
It is. But I felt bad because she sent him out to this damn machine. And no, here it is. She sends him to go get cigarettes. But she doesn't want anything that the machine has. And I get that. Like, the guy didn't want to go get the fucking things in the first place. And then he runs into this little sumbitch. And that was the end of Mike.
I liked him.
They didn't show him. Both of the guys were really cool.
I think all the male characters, you know, they weren't exactly so over the top, nuts or aggressive or anything. They all had something likable to them, which I really appreciated in this. Like, I've seen other horror movies like this where at least one of them was a complete douche nozzle. Now, when we first meet Mike, you kind of get that impression, like, oh, this guy's just a straight up dickbag. And because he confronts basically, oh, I forgot what her character name is, but his girl's dad is like the store owner. Oh. And he's just smiling, chewing on gum, and he's just like, yeah, I'm hooking up with your girl. Yep.
That was annoying because you could hear the gum. Like, come on, editing, get rid of that shit.
Or somebody did their Foley effects very well.
It's a Corman flick, so who knows? Well, it's a Wynorski flick on a Corman budget. So, yeah, expect all of that cheapness and intentionality things.
Hey, if this was a true Corman flick, this would totally fit within what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, Corman probably would have given them the time and the money to add like another, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes just to tighten up whatever they were really intending to do at the ending. Because there's no way they planned this to be a 76-minute movie. Clearly, there was more to it than that, but this is what we got.
You would have thought so, but again, there's a lot of padding in this flick. There's a lot of running this way. There's a lot of running that way. There's a lot of hiding in this and shooting of that.
There's a whole lot of stripping of this and a whole lot of stripping of that.
There wasn't enough of that, but there was quite a bit at the beginning. There was.
Yeah. At least there wasn't an unnecessary hookup in the last 20 minutes of the movie.
No, there wasn't. There wasn't really nothing in this flick that wasn't necessary. And again, that's one of the upsides to a Wynorski or a Corman type flick. They're so low budget that they don't have time for bullshit.
Right.
And this, maybe they had a little bit extra money. I know it was about $800,000 that they had to play with. And again, a lot of running back and forth. They could have showed more of the robots. Could have made it a little bit more interesting for me. More so than the running back and forth.
Yeah.
That got old quick.
Yeah. I mean, they could have, if they had an opportunity, they probably could have made up with it in some more creative kills.
Yes.
Just a little bit more of everything. And I don't begrudge this movie that. It's just one of those things you're like, if they could have done this, if they could have done that, this could have been a whole lot more, and it could have been more popular, more people would have seen it. But this thing has this wonderful cult classic following for years. And then when they finally put out a new Blu-ray of this, I know a lot of people were excited about it. And that was my first time watching this, is when this came out from Vestron a few years ago.
How did the transfer look?
Looked pretty good. There is some print damage in some spots. There's some weird markings in a couple shots, like when the kid gets on the elevator, or they open the elevator door and there's the kid eating his ice cream, and there's these vertical lines on the camera or whatever it was. You see those before and after that scene on that, but you don't see them the rest of the movie. So there's definitely whatever was on the original print they made the Blu-ray from, some of those things they couldn't get rid of. if they could, I'm sure they'd want to go back and do a 4K scan, because this would sell like hotcakes if it was a 4K scan. And I know some of you are looking up here and you're like, where'd you get the red case from? That's not legit. I swapped the cover art into a red case.
Ooh,
so it would pop
pretty.
a little bit more. And then this goes into my slip cover that's with Vestron. And they use the same cover art as everybody else does.
That's cool.
But, this was the very first that they put out, and I love it.
I wouldn't mind picking that up. I think I will end up getting that, because I did not pick that up. That's, I think, the only movie that we're doing for the rest of the year that I was like, yeah, it's on Tubi. And that's where I saw it. And Tubi has a great transfer of it. It wasn't bad at all.
It's probably the same transfer, because this is a digitally restored movie. It just haven't gone up to like a 4K or a 2K scan. It's just a simple restoration, and it's a digital one, so it can be on all the services. So if you don't want to spend the money for a Vestron, these are not expensive, but you might not find a slipcover for it. If that doesn't matter to you, don't worry about it. But if you just want to check the movie out, it's on all the streamers, but Tubi is the best free spot to go. Recommended Tubi all the time. I go on there quite often when I need to do some pickup shots or just having something in the background while I'm working on something else, so I can keep my notes going. So it's always recommend Tubi.
Yeah, I can't like woohoo that enough. Finding out that I could take screenshots with Tubi, it was like, yes, suck at other streamers.
Yeah, where you got to get like the snipping tool out just to be like, if I pause this shit, I missed the pause on the one I was spot. And then you got to go back and forth. And too much blur. Nope, not enough blur. Oh, shit.
That's what it's been like for me trying to work with Blu-rays on the new player.
Yeah.
DVDs, I can get it down to a goddamn science. Blu-ray,
a little tricky.
Tries. Yeah. So,
well, I love the work you do. You have another fun screen we can take a look at?
What do we got? Well, let's see. First is
dude, yes. That's one of the quotes I write down. Every time I watch this movie, I'm like, fuck the fuchsia. Or fuchsia. It's Friday.
It's Friday. And it really was a party of just that. And what else? Here are the robots getting ready to attack. Like, hey, Steve.
The technicians, they took out each one of them. Well, the one guy finishing the other guy's donut is total dick move.
Well, guess who that was? It's Garrett Graham.
Yep.
He gets killed in every horror movie that he is in.
Pretty much. He's got the Sean Bean clause in his contract.
Yes, he does. Let's see. And then this, where the other party that was getting down and jiggy, she tells the guy, "Oh, I didn't say you could do that.
But I just did that the other day." And you weren't complaining then.
Like,
that was such a funny scene. It's like most of us guys are just like, yeah, I think we can relate a little bit to that. I think I lost my host.
Oh, it made me laugh so hard. Like,
it's like poor guy down underneath the blanket in between shots. He's like, can I breathe up here?
Oh God, like, what do you do in that case? Do you like fart in like defense or what?
Yeah.
I didn't say you could do that.
That would have been funny if that was something impromptu that resulted in that. That would be pretty funny.
It was certainly stunning.
Actors entertaining themselves in between shots. Oh, we left the camera rolling. Shit.
The other thing,
keep it, cut it, like, print it. We're doing
happy
it.
Birthday. Keep rolling.
Hey, some weird stuff like that has happened before. The most recent example is on House of the Dragon season 1, and that's when the crown falls off the king, and his brother, or they're not getting along. His brother comes up, picks up the crown, and hands it back to him. That was not supposed to be there. That was just something that happened on the spot, and they kept it in.
Really?
They made it part of the scene. Yeah. Which is I like I like when shows do that. They let the actors do their thing, and oh, hey, I'm glad we kept that rolling and we didn't yell cut in the middle of that. Or if they did, they probably removed it.
When they keep things and then it turns out to be better than the original, that's always a magic thing.
Yes.
Like, that happens a lot on Jon Favreau movies, I think.
Okay, maybe that's why I have them suck.
Wait, what? No, just... And then...
Do I need to mention Cowboys and Aliens?
Did he do that? Did he really?
Yeah. You're welcome. Point proven.
I've not seen that. Like, I wanted to go to the theater and see it, and Brandy didn't want to. I wanted to buy it when it first came out, and Brandy didn't want to. So apparently she was right, and I'll never tell her that in person. So,
because she never watches the show anyway.
No, she doesn't. Although I was listening to this week's drop of the podcast, the first episode or the first week of Jack of All Trades.
Yep.
Where we were talking about, I think, all the shows that she doesn't like me watching that I watch too loud.
Yep, I left that in there.
And the door to the studio was open and she's right down the hallway. And I'm like, oh, my computer's really loud.
You'd be surprised what I leave in season 2.
Oh, God. But anyway... Anyway, you talked before about the misuses of firearms in this movie. This was my favorite. When Birdie runs out of bullets, he just straight up throws the pistol at the fucking robot.
Oh my God. It's like he was on the set of Rust or something.
Nobody did anything in this movie that would actually affect a robot, with the small exception of maybe putting the propane tank in front of it and it blowing up. But that had no effect on it too.
Well, and then they all start shooting like... how many bullets did you count in that scene? We were talking about this before we started rolling.
When they had the tank in front of them, they fired 31 rounds before they actually shot him. Or before the propane tank actually went up.
Rank amateurs.
And then after they're sitting here just going to fucking town on it too.
Dude, guy holding the shotgun has a better hold on the gun than the other two do.
Yeah, the guy shooting the M16, I'm surprised. Yeah. But then the 44, that's just
That's just somebody who's watched way too many movies.
Yes. And then my favorite, though, is when they fucking knock this thing over and it's oozing and you hear it get that weird Foley sound. They're like, what is that? Robot blood. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Robot blood. You mean oil? No! I mean robot blood. All right.
Well, you know what they said before they went into that scene?
No,
let's send those fuckers a Robogram or a Rambogram.
Rambogram.
Now, if that's a one-liner for the record books, it certainly is. I just won't say what kind of record book that is.
No, my favorite moment of getting their makeshift traps together was Kelly sticking the flare down her boobs.
Oh.
Like, you knew when she was doing that was going to end up coming back later.
Well, and that actually made sense.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because, I mean, really, what else are you going to do? What else is going to be hot enough? Because that's another thing that we mentioned. Robots don't give a shit about fire.
They're not afraid of it. They don't know what it is.
Thermite.
It's not that self-aware.
That's different.
Yeah. Should have just grabbed a grenade and threw it at it. That store had just about everything in it as far as armed weapons went.
Oh, yeah. They
didn't have a rocket launcher in there.
Didn't they just straight say that? Is there a sporting goods store around here somewhere?
Yeah. Most you would find in most of those stores is basically simple rifles, simple shotguns, and a few handguns. This thing was like loaded to the brim with like, the fuck is this place? A military store?
Kinda. like,
I mean, I'm not complaining. It was pretty funny to watch that, but
I don't recall, because again, I was only 4 years old at the time, but I'm pretty sure the M16 was illegal in California at the time.
what wasn't illegal in California at the time and what is still illegal in California at this time?
No comment. No comment. 0.0 point. We moved away from there.
Yep, I did too. So freedom for all of us.
Freedom. Except for the people still living there, and we tell them your story. We salute you.
Yeah. God, you mentioned Dick Miller. That was so fantastic to see him. Did you catch the two other cameos at the beginning of the movie?
At the beginning? Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Bartell and Mary Warnoff.
Yes. I recognized her, like her eyes and smile so quick.
Bravo.
That's the channeler from Warlock that was pretending to be Samil.
And she's also in next week's movie.
Yes. Which was also surprising. I mean, she was great in that. But this scene here, like, golly, this was just one of a few things that just didn't, I don't want to say sit well, age well? Yeah, age well.
It might not have aged well, but it was certainly still enjoyable.
Oh, hell yes, because they're sitting there making fun of these three robots.
Yeah, I know.
After they just see, one, a training video on them, and then two, they're unveiled. Yeah, unveiled here, like on a game show.
Come on down.
Come on down. A brand new murder bot. And I wrote that down just because I didn't realize before, as I was doing it, that they called them killbots at the time.
Now, would you have gone with the movie title Killbots, or do you like Chopping Mall?
Chopping Mall is a cool title. I don't know that I would have gone with Killbots or Chopping Mall.
There's not a whole lot of chopping in this movie.
No, there's not. The only one that gets chopped, I think, more or less, is this guy here. And that's just a little cut in his throat.
Yep, he got poked.
It's just Ash Wednesday. That's all. They just.
Well, what's funny about that particular scene is when the guy comes in to basically, they're switching shifts, and there's like no blood on the floor. It's like, are these robots really that intelligent to clean up after themselves? That makes, I don't know. I'm putting way more thought into this movie than they did make in the movie, but it's one of those little things of, did they really clean up after themselves? They're not really designed for cleanup because, as Dick Miller will attest to, fuckers made a bigger mess than when he was cleaning it up.
Yeah. And what was that he was cleaning up? Was it puke or was it poop? Like,
that looked like somebody dropped a shake or something. That was like a lot. Like, if that was somebody puking, like, somebody is clearly an 800-pound individual that consumed something they shouldn't have. But that's not how it worked out. It's, to me, it looked like a big old shake or something that somebody dropped, or a thing of ice cream that melted. I don't know.
Yeah, all I know is that the more he pushed it around,
the worse it got. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I didn't get the picture of the other two guys that were heckling him. So here's Dick as he's getting pissed at these two guys that were heckling him, the other two janitors.
The Dick Miller counter continues.
Yes. One day we'll get him on as a guest, I swear. One of them was Dr. Rochelle from Return to Swamp Thing.
Yep.
I was like, I knew I recognized him.
I had a feeling you'd point that out. If you didn't, I was going to be like, so, do you remember somebody else from Return of Swamp Thing was in this movie? Kevin.
Yeah, but the picture that I got, they were walking past Dick like they were looking at his ass, and I was going to make a comment about that. It just didn't fit.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
I know. I already had an ass joke in here, and a head exploding joke.
Oh, yeah.
And a getting head joke. Yeah, so. Sorry.
Well, were you satisfied with the ending of this movie? I know I I thought it was a pretty decent ending, just a little dragged out. But I know we talked about like this scene earlier, but like seriously, this was a good spot to end it at. We don't need to see them walking out of the mall or anything like that, or going off into the sunset. That's okay.
This is what I like. I liked not the ending here, but again, yes, the finale where Kelly gets this dope fucking idea of how she's going to get rid of this robot. She makes a trap in the paint store, just like dumps all the paint she could find, and then gets
thinner and everything else she could find.
2 bottles of thinner. And then she whistles at the fucker from across the mall. That was fantastic. And the thing tries to get away from her. And then I'm kind of like, oh, that's what the paint was for. All right. Yeah. And then, yes, this part was a nice payoff for the ending. I dug this.
Hells yeah.
They could have
that was a hell of a great time.
Yeah, they could have ended it just like that, and I would have been perfectly fine. But then they bring this guy back with a rather heavy flow and a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah, I didn't understand what he was. I mean, none of us thought he was dead when he got shot anyway.
He didn't get shot, did he? He got hit in the chest with the propane tank.
Or whatever that was, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
None of us thought he was dead. I mean, it wasn't even a thing.
No, it was just like a wimp just got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like, sorry. I'm a wimp myself, so I can't say too much.
That's true.
Noble wimps unite.
Kevin's starting a union.
Yeah, right. If that's okay.
It's called No Ma'am.
No Ma'am. But one thing I would like to point out that did not age well in this movie.
Oh, what didn't it? Oh, the
pet stores.
Yet, if you go to malls, they still have pet stores there too.
What?
Yeah.
I thought they were illegal in all 50 states now.
No, there's like a puppy store in a couple of malls here in Arizona.
Grr, that's not okay. Anyway.
Well, I think they're run by the animal shelter. But we don't go into those. We don't really support that. But.
Give it a 0 point.
Thanks, Kevin.
No, I did like the ending. It didn't need... Ferdy could have died, and it would have been just as okay. They could have been a little bit more brutal to him, and it would have been just as okay. It wasn't bad with him living. No. It would have been better with him, I think, helping her rather than... Well, because she didn't really need help at all. Like, she was the most capable person there. Anytime something got destroyed, she had the eyes of a killer just staring at the robot.
What are you saying, Kevin? There's strong female characters in movies in the 80s? What the fuck are you talking about?
Shh, don't tell Sigourney Weaver.
Don't tell anybody today.
They hate women.
You might just get canceled for saying something like that, Kevin.
I know.
But no, I feel like they treated all the characters very, very, very well. Like, say what you will about some of the writing. This is goofy. This is too cheesy. Yada, yada, yada. It's a fun time. The idea is a great idea, and they did a great, fun cult classic movie out of it that we get to enjoy to this day. Now, would you add this into your rotation in the future?
Yeah, I think so. It's very evident as to why it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
Not to argue with you, it's not that cheesy. I didn't interpret it as it being cheesy.
Oh, there's way cheesier movies. It's kind of got that feel to it. Like, maybe not cheesy is not the right word. Maybe more like cheap budget kind of thing where because it's not really campy at all, but it's got like the kind of like production budget of those kind of movies.
Yeah, the only camp and cheese that's there is the 80s itself, and that's just what it is. There's no getting around that.
Right. And definitely dates itself. In the pizza parlor, they got like movie posters from like all of Corman's flicks. I mean, we don't need to go into like all the ones that we saw. Basically, it was like a run of some of the top ones. Galaxy of Terror, there was like The Lost Empire. There was, oh god, yeah, we don't have to go through them all. I think there was a Deathstalker one too.
Deathstalker 1 was a poster in here, and I want to say the music is used in Deathstalker 2.
Oh, okay.
I think.
It's been a while since I've seen those, but I did recognize a couple of those posters.
One, I had it up here, was Saturday the 14th, and I'm like, oh, but I want to watch that movie too.
We can do that one. Maybe next year we'll do more of a Halloween run of movies and see what we can do for 31 days or 13 days or something.
Something like that. I mean, it's not the most like intelligent flick of all time, but Saturday the 14th is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a really good parody.
Yeah. Was it Jeffrey Tambor that's in that?
Yes.
That's right.
He's so good.
I was a kid, probably like 8 or 9 years old, but I remember being like, my dad not liking it, which tells me that it was funny.
Yep. Now that's a cheesy movie for sure.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, some of those type of cheesy 80s flicks, those are like the best remedies for a bad day.
Oh, absolutely. This is definitely one of those for me, because if I start to feel like, man, I just want to watch something quick, easy, and I'm not worried I'm going to fall asleep in like 90 minutes, and it's not like a 4-hour slog of a movie, and it's really only 2 hours, this is going to be one of those movies I throw right on in. Definition of popcorn flick for me. I can just sit back, relax, just enjoy the chaos that ensues.
Comparing this to next week's show, I will say this now. I like this more than I liked Night of the Comet.
No, that's fine.
Well, I can't say I liked Kelly more, because she was almost the same person. Less ditzy in this, but she was the smarter person, or the more gun-wise type girl.
She fit this character very well. They cast that very well for this movie. It was putting her in it.
Yeah, she was more of the Sarah Connor type character. Like, she was the waitress at the beginning who took no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was a lot of fun. I liked her. I like her in Night of the Comet. But this is, and I know I said this had a lot of padding to it as far as them running here, running there. It's a little bit shorter, but it feels a lot shorter than Night of the Comet. I don't know why.
Well, I'm about to begin my watch of that and prep for it, so we will have that discussion next week. But just for the sake of this movie, I also want to say, like, Barbara, we were talking about how well it was cast. Like, Barbara Crampton is Suze, or Susie, however you want to go with that name. Her and Kelly have a great chemistry together, and I really thought that was a good dynamic to have. And it was unfortunate how Suze's character, kind of before she got offed, was a little bit like falling apart. I thought that she would have been better suited to stay strong like Allison was and Kelly. Because when they were together, they felt like they were a really good team. And when they were kind of apart, it was like, hey, what's going on here? She's falling apart.
Yeah. And when she did slightly escape, she winds up getting smoked.
Anybody got any marshmallows? I mean,
I
see that because we had s'mores after dinner tonight. So.
You fuck! I want s'mores.
Well, go get a chocolate bar, graham crackers, and marshmallows, and light them up. We got a corpse on fire. I mean, you got one.
I might have M&Ms in the house. That's about it. Candy corn, which everyone's like, he's able. It's disgusting.
Okay. Candy corn, right? Yay or nay?
Yay. I like candy corn.
All right. You can stay hired on as co-host.
It's the circus peanuts where I'm like, no, thank you. Don't need that.
Team candy corn all the way.
Yeah, and it sticks to my teeth, and I'm good with it. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I like to eat each piece like it's a piece of the corn.
Oh, yeah.
Orange, yellow. I'm a dork. But going back all the way back before we 0 Point for the last time, yes, I want to add this to my rotation. I feel like a horse's ass that I didn't.
Don't feel bad. You didn't know if you were going to end up liking this or not.
I wasn't sure, and I should have known. Just like an 80s horror film, I should have known, yeah, probably going to enjoy it. Yeah. It's fairly concise. It's no bullshit. I mean, it leaves a little bit of plot strings open, but that's just because it's concise. Like, it makes no mention of them getting to where they need to go up on the 3rd floor to get to the computer. That never ends up happening. The people coming back to rescue them, that never ends up happening. The company responsible for the robots manufacturing, their programming, and fixing them, that never comes back into play. It doesn't have any extra bullshit. It's their dilemma, and then it's done.
Right. It was pretty sweet and to the point on that. I know these days with movies like that, you get like a movie like Megan, and they basically address like almost all of that before the movie hits roll credits. And that's something that the 80s did. Sometimes it would end pretty on point, and if things weren't answered, well, sorry, maybe we'll do another movie. But if we don't, this is the story we wanted to tell. And I like that movies like this were around in the 80s. We don't get them these days. I'd like to see more of this. I know that it'll drive some people nuts saying, well, you're leaving so many plot holes open. You're okay with that? I'm like, they weren't writing this movie for an Oscar.
No.
They weren't aiming for that. They were aiming for a good time. Yes, I know it's show business and they should be trying to make money. Back then, yeah.
They were trying to make a few $100 million for $800,000.
Like other movies on this budget, there were some that blew apart expectations. Some never even made it even close to their budget. And some of them are cult classics beyond belief today. I hate to say it, but even the movie The Pit cost more than it ever brought in the box office.
Did it?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
And that movie is like, I love that movie, but I know it's a bad movie.
There are so many flicks that I used to watch as a kid, and this is probably true for everybody, that you really liked, and you grew up and you're like, nostalgia goggles. Those need to be cleaned.
Yeah, there's a few of those movies, but I still watch those movies, and I'm like, I know these are bad, but I'm still going to watch them anyway.
Some of the movies that you would consider that are not for me. The Wynorski films are not shit to me as an adult. Like, I look back on The Lost Boys and I'm like, I don't like this. It's dumb.
I've never liked The Lost. I know I'm losing another subscriber. I've never liked The Lost Boys.
No,
I have no problem like talking about it or watching it, or if I get invited on a show or a podcast or anything like that, I'll happily talk about it. There's some really good parts to that movie, just on an overall level from beginning to end. It's inconsistent. I'm not a fan. Just not a fan. But it's got some cool moments in it.
It's got a dope soundtrack.
The soundtrack, there is no argument for me on that in any regard.
Yeah, like it could be the best soundtrack of the 80s. Like
one of the best. So no argument for me on that. And like, even for like, say, like Chopping Mall, there's not much of a soundtrack. It's more of a score, and I really enjoy it. It keeps the movie flowing. And that's all it's really designed for. It's not really designed for emotional highs and lows and taking you on a journey. It's, you got your popcorn, you got your booze. All right, let's go and kill some things.
Yeah, what's my motivation? First you're going to come, then you're going to run, then you're going to die. That's the
Make sure it's in that order, or we're getting an actor who can do it that way. No, I'm kidding.
This is fun. I wish I would have seen this much younger. Like this is my first movie, I think, seeing Kelly in it. And I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Like, I need to go back through and look at her film career and make sure that's true. she's fantastic. She was fun in this. She's perfect for it. I want to say she was supposed to replace somebody that was supposed to be playing that character. And when that happens, like, Michael J. Fox replacing Eric Stoltz, it's a happy accident.
That was the best accident.
Whatever. And that's nothing against Eric Stoltz. I love him. He's awesome.
I agree. Me too. I think Eric would have done fine, but the movie would have felt much differently. That's why I would look at, like, say, like this movie, and yeah, you could have put another actress in the role of Allison than Kelly Maroney, but Kelly made this character come to life. And like when an actor fits a character to a T like this, it's magic. And you know it. You see it. You're like, I can't see anybody else in that role. It's because that actor took to that role like a fish to water. It's just, it worked. It fit. And not all movies can get a casting like that. This one had quite a bit of the great casting in it. Not just the cameos, but the main cast. Just everybody just did their part very well. That's why the movie's so enjoyable.
And another thing to that point is you kind of get upset when people die in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't, because like it's a horror film. People are supposed to die.
Right.
But all the characters are actually kind of likable.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier. It's like, how is it that I like just about every character in this movie? Just about. Not all of them. Some of them are kind of iffy, but you only get like one or two of those that are like that.
And it's for very brief moments of time too.
Yeah, these are like the cameo characters. Like, they're the most annoying things in this movie, as far as like characters you may or may not like. Well, they're in and out in like less than a minute. They're not hanging around the whole movie being dicks the whole damn show.
Yeah, like this gentleman here, who I wished would have
that could have gotten old very quick with him.
Yeah, but oh golly, was that funny.
Last thing I would have wanted was, it's a me, Mario, the whole movie with that guy.
Fuck me. They're gonna shoot to me.
I'm gonna go call my brother Luigi and find another movie I can suck in.
I'm gonna go stomp on that robot. Oh lordy, that's another 0-pointer. But yeah, no, those characters are pretty much out within the first 5-10 minutes of the film, because the movie pretty much tells you what the cast is going to be after that, because the doors close and there's nobody else getting into the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate that. Whereas something, say, like Night of the Comet, like, they basically leave it open to where if somebody's like sleeping in a metal container anywhere or underground bunker, like there's some plot armor for having more people in the world than just like 4 people left. Yeah. So, but I like this movie. My last question for you would be, if they were to bring this back for like a 30 years later sort of movie with like Kelly and the actor who played Ferdy, would you watch that? Or would that even be even remotely interesting to you? Me, I'd say leave it alone. Don't come back to it, even though I would love to see Kelly make a return in another Coppola movie. One with a really nice budget, and she got an awesome payday.
Then I will repay your question with the question. James Wan has thrown his hat in the circle as wanting to remake this movie.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
As of January this year, yes.
Ooh.
So, if that was the case, yes, I'd be interested in seeing that.
You could catch me if he's involved. And I know he's the director of Aquaman 2, and that's supposed to be not great. This is his genre. This is where he calls home in the horror genre. Yeah. Super DC, super people, superheroes, and DC, that's a different sandbox. This is where he plays with the big boys.
I really, really like James Wan as a horror director.
Yes.
Like,
it works.
He's brilliant.
He knows what he's doing.
He is to me what everyone said Wes Craven was to horror, like this big iconic genius. Craven was great as far as his contributions.
Oh, absolutely.
but his movies were not always the best.
Agreed. Dracula 2000.
Oh.
Man, I'm killing your childhood, aren't I?
I liked Judas Iscariot being Dracula. That was cool, but that was about it.
Okay.
No, I like Wes Craven as a person. I think he was awesome. I just don't think all the movies that he made were all that awesome. James Wan, I can forgive Aquaman because sometimes you make movies for money. Other times you make movies to scare the shit out of people.
Well, you go back to an actor, say like Kurt Russell. I know we're a little off topic, but he did Captain Ron after a couple of movies had bombed. Him doing Captain Ron updated his name enough because it was a Disney movie, family-friendly movie that made enough money to people to look at him again to keep his acting going. So every once in a while, you do have to take the easy payday just to keep that name flowing through Hollywood. Keep that momentum going. So can you stall out and nobody's casting you anymore? Maybe you got to pick a different project. Maybe James was like, hey, I've done some great horror movies, but I'm starting to run out of like places that want to throw some money at me, and I want to do something a little different. DC's saying, hey, if you do this Aquaman movie, we'll give you another 2 horror movies. How does that sound? All right, I'll do an Aquaman movie, and then I'm going to get to work on the movies I really want to work on.
Yeah, what if these 3 movies that you were doing was a universe of 11 movies now? Oh, you're the executive producer on all of them. Half
Something
of them suck.
shiny.
That's okay.
Yeah, so like all directors, all actors, they all, well, not all of them, majority of them always do something just to keep the machine rolling so they can get to what they really want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Sean.
It's just sometimes you get the goofball movies and you're like, why'd they do that? Well, what did they follow up after that with? Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah. And Aquaman, I didn't hate Aquaman as much as the Mads did.
Aquaman, the first one's fine. It's just I'm hearing about the second one and all the problems on it. It's like, oh, we'll have to wait and see what it looks like.
It just doesn't need to be at this point. They need to just let that go. And I understand that they contractually can't.
Right.
But goodness, I don't. DC is going to kill the superhero genre for a while.
Between DC and Marvel, they're both killing it. But that's a different topic for a different show.
We'll do that. We'll get some hard grinding debates.
Hells yeah. Wink, wink. Might be something on the way. So stay tuned for that.
Do we have Marvel stuff? I think we do. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Captain America from 1985. No, I'm kidding.
Where do I have that? I think that's over there somewhere.
It can stay lost. We're not covering that unless somebody wants to pay us to do it.
Sorry, Reb.
All right, Kevin, you got any last comments before we wrap it up?
I don't, other than the fact that this was a pleasant surprise. My wife thought I was absolutely insane because I came in complaining about how cheesy and low budget and short of a film it was after watching 4 weeks of John Wick. And I absolutely loved it. And she goes, what? I said, it's not bad. Like, this is not bad. This is not a bad movie by any means. Like, it's a movie with a bunch of good people in it or good actors. And it's just low budget is all it is. And I dig it. I was really here for this. I don't know if I would have liked it as much as a kid. I might have. Because there's not a lot of killing in this. There really isn't.
No.
But
like a TV edit of this would be one you could show a kid for sure. Because they take out like all the naughty bits and any excessive gore. It'd still be just a fine movie on its own. And
that's really what probably got them the biggest part of their R rating was the boobies.
Yeah.
Maybe a little butt, but yeah.
And the swearing a little bit.
That's right. Fuck the fuchsia. It's Friday.
A lot of F-bombs.
But it was
fuck
within
it.
context.
Who gives a shit?
It was within context. It all worked.
Yeah.
It was just like me. They're not like throwing it out there randomly. It's just the way that they talk.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
No, but I dug this flick. I will get this. It's going to be part of my rotation. And I might actually throw this up for my Halloween rotation as far as like what movies my family watches in October.
Awesome. Good to hear. This is part of my rotation. Love my Blu-ray from Vestron Video. Would love to see a 4K. And you brought up the James Wan potential hit up on this, and I would be game for that too. But I want to thank all of our screamers for tuning in. Be sure to check out next week when we cover Night of the Comet with Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelly Maroney. And I'm looking forward to that one. It's a personal favorite of mine. So slight spoiler alert, that's what we're getting into next week. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. And be sure to hit that like button. Comment below if you got any favorite lines, thoughts, favorite mall stores, anything that we've done in this video. Put the comments below. We'd love to see it. We do reply to those comments, so please do. And also hit us up on a subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notifications so you stay alerted to when we drop our video content. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.